Hello and welcome to This Week in Bitcoin, brought to you by Relai Private. There's a lot that happened this week and we have some very bullish news. So let's get stuck in right away. News number one are sort of the news you can't miss on social media anyway. And that's that Microsoft will hold a shareholder meeting in December where they will vote about the possibility of adding Bitcoin to its balance sheet. This initiative has been brought up by the National Center for Public Policy Research, quite a long name, where they state that Bitcoin is the perfect hedge against the devaluation of money, and they used cases such as MicroStrategy to showcase how a company can protect the stock and therefore shareholder value. That it worked with MicroStrategy, I don't have to explain to you because it's quite obvious. And Michael Saylor at this point also took up the opportunity to tag Satya Nadella on Twitter or on X to tell him, hey, if you want to have a failing company and thrive through the Bitcoin strategy, let me know, I can give you a shout out. Although everything seems bullish, and I'm sure a lot of you who are Microsoft shareholders will reach out, it's unlikely that this vote is going to pass. Anyway, the management has stepped in right away after the announcement and said that they're not going to support this because crypto is too volatile and the climate footprint and all of the stupid arguments you always hear. Like, they never do actually do research to back up these claims, but these are here. And they are not eager to adapt this strategy. However, there are certain people in management, like the CTO, who are very eager and open-minded towards Bitcoin. So it may just take a while until the shareholders react. Unlikely that they will vote yes in a majority on this, but it's good to see that Bitcoin is at the forefront of big tech and more publicly noted companies. And just as we always know, it takes a few tries until people find Bitcoin and from there on take off. Then speaking of public companies, we also have some news out of Asia where Metaplanet, who have been buying Bitcoin since spring, in small amounts, not in the amounts you use to MicroStrategy, have now completed their latest purchase and own over 1,000 Bitcoin on its balance sheet. They own 1,017 and some squashed ones after the comma, and they're very eager to use it as an inflationary hedge against the failing yen in Japan. Why? The yen has been devaluating like crazy. The national and central banks had to step in and save it countless times with measurements which go pretty much against what you're used to out of Japan. And the only option to protect yourself against this is Bitcoin. Metaplanet is now going a step further and are actually also issuing debt to then buy more Bitcoin. And this strategy works perfectly, as we have seen with MicroStrategy. And in the case of Metaplanet, it also works because the stock soared 6% upon the news that they now hold over 1,000 Bitcoin. Furthermore, they're now also the largest public holder of Bitcoin. So from the looks of it, Metaplanet is doing everything right, and they will continuously go out and buy more Bitcoin. And then last but definitely not least, we also need to speak about the Bitcoin price measured in fiat terms. For the first time in a while, we see Bitcoin back above 70,000 US dollars. Last time we saw this was in March, just before the all-time high. And at the time of recording this video, we are just $1,000 short of that fiat all-time high in US dollars. And it's broken countless highs in other currencies, other fiat currencies. But nevertheless, there are a few reasons as to why the price is pumping so hard. Reason number one are the US elections. You clearly have a favorite in terms of a candidate who's eager to do stuff with Bitcoin. Whether he holds up his promise, that remains to be seen. He's a politician after all. And then you have the counter measurement, which is now more open to Bitcoin because they realized it's actually an easy way for votes. But they're also part of the administration that blocked a lot of the crypto banks and all of the adoption. So it's interesting to see how this US election is actually driving a lot of FOMO and price increase. Next to that, as I mentioned, you have the public interest by companies. If the Googles and the Microsofts and the Facebooks of the world, or the Metas, sorry, they had the name change, get on board and start accumulating Bitcoin, this will be an ever-increasing driver as well. We also had a light announcement just before I hit record that MicroStrategy is going to issue $42 billion in the coming 3 years and that they're going to use half of it to buy Bitcoin. So there is a lot of buying pressure there. And last but not least are also the ETFs. We saw 2 out of the last 5 weeks where we had inflows over $2 billion US dollars, a crazy amount. So interest is there by institutional. The only thing we need to wait for is the retail side of things because they still haven't woken up to the fact that Bitcoin is there. However, I'm certain once we pass the all-time high and we edge closer to a crazy number in fiat terms, they will also come back in. So everything's looking quite bullish. Will be an exciting end to Q4 and definitely an exciting 2025. And that's it. We're at the end of this week in Bitcoin. You know the drill. If you got questions, feedback, or just want to say hello, leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you next week again.